Tonight, fatal collision. A cargo train rams passenger train in West Bengal, causing death to at least 11 people and leaving more than 25 injured. Diplomatic visits. Chinese Premier Qiang meets Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese in the first visit to the country by the Chinese Premier in 7 years. More walkouts. Medical professors at Seoul National University Hospital initiate indefinite walkout amid ongoing government dispute. Chilling in the hammock. A bear leisurely settled onto a hammock in Vermont, where another bear observed with apparent amusement and curiosity. All that and more as World News Tonight starts right now.
This is Derana World News Tonight. Reporting from Colombo, here's Sanuvi Mudanayaka.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on World News Tonight. We have key global updates lined up for you on our bulletin tonight, and we start off in neighbouring India. A cargo train rammed into a passenger train in India's eastern state of West Bengal today, killing at least 8 people and injuring several others, with rescue work ongoing. Disaster response team and ambulances were engaged in rescue work at the accident site, which is near the state's Darjeeling district, a tourist spot nestled in the Himalayan foothills.
Visuals showed one train rammed into the end of the other, with one compartment rising vertically in the air. Swarms of people had gathered at the spot where rescuers were searching the crash site. Local sources said that 11 deaths were reported so far, of which 8 were railway personnel. At least 25 people were injured in the collision, which occurred close to the New Jalpaiguri station. Railway authorities told local media that the collision occurred because the cargo train overshot a signal. 4 compartments at the rear of the passenger train went off the rails due to the impact, most of which were carrying cargo, while one was a passenger coach. The Kanchenjunga Express is a daily train that connects West Bengal state with other cities in the northeast. It's often used by tourists who travel to the hill station of Darjeeling, popular at this time of year when several Indian cities are sweltering in the heat. Railway officials said more people were feared trapped inside the mangled carriages, but there were no immediate details. The accident comes a year after India's state-run railway system suffered its worst crash in 2 decades in the state of Odisha, where nearly 300 people were killed.
Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Chinese Premier Qiang met in Canberra, Australia, today in the first visit to the country by a Chinese premier in 7 years, with trade ties, regional security and a jailed Australian writer on the host's agenda.
The visit by Li, China's top-ranked official after President Xi Jinping, marks a stabilization in relations between the US security ally and the world's second biggest economy, after a frosty period of Beijing blocking $20 billion in Australian exports and friction over defense encounters. Albanese noted that Australia and China have complementary economies and shared interests in addressing climate change. He acknowledged their differences, which reflect their distinct political systems, approaches and priorities. This, he emphasized, is why their candid dialogue is so important. After the meeting, Li told reporters that the leader held a candid, in-depth and fruitful meeting and reached a lot of consensus. Beginning with some panda and wine diplomacy yesterday, Li is on a 4-day visit. The 2 leaders will travel separately to the mining state of Western Australia today evening, where they will hold roundtable talks tomorrow with business leaders.
Chinese authorities and state media said today that thousands of people have been evacuated in southeast China after heavy rains hammered the region over the weekend, triggering floods and deadly landslides.
Over 35,000 people were evacuated as of Saturday, and as of today morning, more than 10,000 people were evacuated in Meizhou, the hardest flood-hit city in Guangdong province. According to its Ministry of Water Resources, 17 waterways in the major Han River basin recorded flooding above alert level, including 2 rivers at record flood levels. Guangdong province, an economic powerhouse home to 127 million people, is among parts of southern China that are subjected to annual flooding from April to September. Heavy rains wrought further devastation, with social media videos from the city of Meizhou, eastern Guangdong, showing river water almost overflowing as it lapped at bridges and partially submerged vehicles. More than 130,000 households in the city and suburbs were without power as of today morning, while classes were suspended.
Western powers and their allies at a summit in Switzerland denounced Russia's invasion of Ukraine yesterday, but they failed to persuade major non-aligned states to join their final statement, and no country came forward to host a sequel. Over 90 countries attended the two-day talks at a Swiss alpine resort at the behest of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, billed as a peace summit even though Moscow was not invited. For more on this story, we have other Derana World News special correspondent Minoli Sagaria joining us from Kursk in Russia.
Yes, Sanovi. Russia ridiculed the event from afar and a decision by China to stay away all but assured that the summit would fail to achieve Ukraine's goal of persuading major countries from the global south to join in isolating Russia. Brazil attended only as an observer, and in the end, India, Indonesia, Mexico, Saudi Arabia and South Africa all withheld their signatures from the summit communique, even though some contentious issues were omitted in the hope of drawing wider support. Still, the conference provided Kyiv with a chance to showcase the support from Western allies that it says it needs to keep fighting against a far bigger enemy. President Zelensky said that they are responding to Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine not only with a full-scale defense of human life, but also with full-scale diplomacy. Leaders, including US Vice President Kamala Harris, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, and French President Emmanuel Macron, gathered at the mountaintop resort. US President Joe Biden was in Europe for other events last week, did not attend despite public invitations from Zelensky. Back to you, Sanovi.
And that was other Derana World News special correspondent Minoli Sagaria from Kursk, Russia. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu criticized plans announced by the military yesterday to hold daily tactical pauses in fighting along one of the main roads into Gaza to facilitate aid delivery into the Palestinian enclave.
Mourners on Sunday buried Israeli military officer Wassim Mahmoud, the commander, who was killed in the Gaza Strip along with 7 of his soldiers on Saturday. At the funeral, an officer said Mahmoud led his soldiers, quote, with bravery, determination, and professionalism. Mahmoud was a member of Israel's Druze minority, a sect whose faith draws its roots from Islam. The Israeli military said Mahmoud and his squad were traveling inside an armored personnel carrier in a convoy of vehicles in the southern city of Rafah on Saturday. Here's Army spokesperson Daniel Hagari.
According to the information we have, at this point a strong explosion occurred in one of the engineering vehicles in the convoy, apparently caused by an explosive device planted in the area or as a result of an anti-tank missile being fired. Inside the armoured carrier were the 8 fighters who were killed.
The armed wing of the Hamas militant group said the vehicle had been trapped in a prepared minefield. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday called the casualties, quote, another heartbreaking price in our just war for the defense of our homeland. And he pledged again to stick with his military objectives, the destruction of the Hamas militant group and the return of all Israeli hostages held in Gaza. On Saturday, the Israeli police released this footage purporting to show parts of an operation last weekend that rescued 26-year-old Noah Argamani and 3 others who were taken captive on October 7th. Despite growing international pressure for a ceasefire, an agreement to halt the fighting still appears distant, more than 8 months since the start of the war in the Palestinian enclave. But Israel's military on Sunday said it would hold daily tactical pauses in combat operations along a main road in southern Gaza to allow more aid to flow into the area. The war erupted when Hamas fighters rampaged through southern Israel on October 7th, killing 1,200 and taking more than 250 captives, according to Israeli tallies. Israel's retaliatory airstrikes and ground invasion have killed more than 37,000 Palestinians, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. Israeli forces have been closing in on Rafah, where it claims brigades of Hamas fighters remain entrenched.
A recovery in Chinese overseas travel from the COVID-19 pandemic is fading as rising costs and difficulties in securing visas cement a preference for local and short-haul destinations. The delay in a revival to pre-COVID levels by China's outbound travelers, the world's top spenders on international tourism and airlines, is hitting travel-related companies, hotels and retailers globally.
Chinese travellers were supposed to get back in the air and back in the shops after the end of lockdowns. But the signs are that a travel rebound is fading away, and that's bad news for tourism businesses everywhere. 18 months after China reopened its borders, international travel numbers are well behind market expectations. Last year saw Chinese people take 87 million trips abroad. That's still down 40% on the pre-COVID era. UN data show they spent 24% less than in 2019, while spending by US travellers was up 14%. It's all a concern for holiday firms and retailers, with Chinese travellers the world's top spenders on international tourism and airlines. Popular destinations for the country's tourists, like France, Australia and the US, may feel a particular hit. A decline in the value of China's yuan currency is one factor, as it makes overseas travel more costly. High unemployment and a sluggish economy have also cut spending power. All that may have pushed people towards domestic travel, which has boomed even as international demand proved weak. Chinese travellers also complain of the time and difficulty in getting visas for some destinations, particularly in Europe. That leaves the number of them travelling to France at barely more than a quarter of pre-health crisis levels. Capacity on air routes to the US remains down 80%, with political tensions not helping either. By contrast, countries that offer visa-free access, including Singapore, Malaysia and Thailand, have seen rising demand. Japan has also seen a surge, helped by a weak yen that makes it a more affordable destination.
Let's go for a short commercial break now. More global updates right after this. Welcome back. On the road to the White House tonight, the race to determine who will be Donald Trump's running mate this November is continuing to heat up, with the former president telling that he has sort of a pretty good idea who he will select.
The identity of the individual remains a mystery, but a number of prospective contenders were recently asked to provide documents to Trump's team as part of the vetting process, including firebrand Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, who some insiders say could be the key to flipping working-class Democrat voters in a number of consequential battleground states. One top GOP strategist stated that he would be a lot of help across the entire Rust Belt and could help pick up working-class Democrat votes in places even outside his own state of Ohio, and that he would be an asset everywhere, especially in states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. The three states mentioned were all won by Trump in 2016, when they constituted part of the so-called blue wall for Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton, but flipped to President Biden in 2020. All three are once again taking center stage in the presidential race and could be the deciding factor for who wins the presidency this year.
Kate, Britain's Princess of Wales, made her first public appearance this year as she underwent treatment for cancer. She waved to crowds and smiled from the balcony of Buckingham Palace after watching a military parade on Saturday.
Kate, Britain's Princess of Wales, made her first public appearance on Saturday since surgery 5 months ago revealed the presence of cancer. Kate attended the Trooping the Colour event with her 3 children at London's Buckingham Palace. The annual military parade marks the official birthday of the British monarch, King Charles. Ahead of the event, crowds gathered outside Buckingham Palace. Kate joined King Charles, Queen Camilla, and other senior family members on the balcony of Buckingham Palace, the high-profile pinnacle of the event. Kate has undergone preventative chemotherapy since the cancer announcement, according to her office, Kensington Palace. While treatment is continuing, her improved health meant she was able to appear in public for the first time since last December. In a rare personal written message on Friday, she said she was making good progress, but was not out of the woods. Kensington Palace has declined to give any details about the type of cancer or her treatment. Her illness has coincided with that of King Charles, who has also been undergoing treatments for cancer. He returned to public duties in April. although his diary commitments are being limited to minimise risks to his recovery.
An armed man shot and injured at least 9 people, including 2 children, at a water park near Detroit. Police say they cornered him in a nearby house where he died after shooting himself.
An armed man shot and injured at least 9 people, including 2 children, at a water park near Detroit on Saturday before shooting and killing himself.
It looked chaotic. You could see people kind of just enjoying the day, and then it was a scramble. People were falling, getting hit, trying to run.
That's according to police, who said the suspect, a 42-year-old man, got out of a vehicle in Rochester Hills, Michigan, and fired about 30 shots at the Brooklands Plaza splash pad. Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard told reporters the motive was not clear.
It's going to be one of those challenges to try to figure out why there appears to be no connection between the victims and the location whatsoever. The person doesn't live in Rochester Hills. He went to a Rochester Hills park.
An 8-year-old boy was shot in the head, and his 4-year-old brother and mother are wounded. The other 6 victims, all aged 30 or older, are in stable condition, Bouchard said. The suspect was cornered in a nearby house by police, where he died after shooting himself, police say.
Medical professors at Seoul National University Hospital begin an indefinite walkout starting today over an ongoing medical dispute with the government. Professors from 3 affiliate hospitals, including Seoul National University Bondang Hospital, are also participating in the walkout.
Medical professors at Seoul National University Hospital begin an indefinite walkout starting Monday over an ongoing medical dispute with the government. Professors from 3 affiliate hospitals, including Seoul National University Bundang Hospital, are also participating in the walkout. However, an emergency committee from the hospitals emphasized that essential care would continue for patients with severe illnesses and rare diseases during the period, and estimated an overall reduction in services of approximately 40%.
The walkout applies to regular outpatient treatments and scheduled surgeries for patients who can be managed at other hospitals or whose treatments can be delayed without significant impact for the time being.
The committee instructed professors who are participating in the walkout to be present and available at the hospital during their scheduled hours. It also held a rally on Monday morning at Seoul National University College of Medicine, which was followed by a symposium under the title The Demise of Expert Groups. The Korea Alliance of Patients Organization released a statement on Monday, urging the medical professors to withdraw from taking action. It accused them of using patients' anxiety and suffering as a means to pressure the government and criticized the walkout. On Sunday, the Korean Medical Association presented 3 demands to the government, including reconsidering the medical school expansion and the canceling of administrative orders against medical trainees and students. However, the Health Ministry reiterated the government's position, saying there are no plans for change. This means that the Korea Medical Association will proceed with its plan for a 1-day general strike on Tuesday. With growing concerns over the walkout, the government advised hospitals to consider pursuing claims for damages if prolonged action results in financial losses. The government on Sunday also announced plans to reinforce the medical emergency response system.
I don't believe all doctors have agreed to participate in a collective strike. I trust that the silent majority will continue to provide care for patients.
Based on the government's announcement, a rotational on-call system for emergency cases will be implemented starting Monday in an effort to minimize severe medical disruptions.
Official figures show that cases of a dangerously and highly fatal bacterial infection have reached record levels in Japan, with experts so far unable to pinpoint the reason for the rise.
The ongoing outbreak in Japan has already surpassed last year's previous record of 941 preliminary infections, the highest since statistics began in 1999. Japan's National Institute of Infectious Diseases reported 97 deaths due to STSS last year, the second highest number of fatalities in the past 6 years. STSS is a rare but serious bacterial infection that can develop when bacteria spread into deep tissues and the bloodstream. Patients initially suffer from fever, muscle pain, and vomiting, but symptoms can quickly turn life-threatening with low blood pressure, swelling, and multiple organ failure as the body goes into shock. It also causes flesh-eating necrotizing fasciitis, which can lead to a loss of limbs. However, most patients who contact the disease have other health factors that may lower their body's ability to fight infections such as cancer or diabetes.
Time for a short commercial break. More world news coming on the other side. Welcome back. A bear decided to relax on a Vermont homeowner's hammock while another bear watched in delight. The homeowner recorded a video of the scene before scaring them off, remarking on the impressive balance of the bear on the hammock, stating it was noteworthy that the bear did not fall off.
Guys, get off the hammock.
Just relaxing, this bear decided to chill on a hammock in a Vermont home's backyard, with another bear watching with delight. But the homeowner who captured nature was not so thrilled after a while.
Took a long enough video before I had to scare them off because you're not really supposed to let them too close to your house, so you do want to tell them to go away.
Noah Dweck says bears are common in his neck of the woods.
We live in a very active bear basin. The bears are very used to human contact. So I'm assuming they have found other people's hammocks before. To be honest, it was pretty impressive that he didn't fall off or she didn't fall off of the hammock. And was kind of knew how to do it. It was quite funny to see.
The bears seemed to stay put until they were scolded.
Guys, get off the hammock. Hey!
And then finally decided to listen.
Well, that is all the stories we have to report to you on World News Tonight. Tuning in tomorrow for more key updates from across the globe. Until then, stay tuned and have a good night.